Welcome back. Let's look at applying a seasonal factor model to the trend data that we've been looking at. It really could apply to any kind of data. Given this sales data that you can see broken down by year and quarter, and we want to be able to make a forecast, if we look at the data, we can see that there's a pattern here. There's a trend up, and it looks like there possibly could be a seasonal factor at play there as well. So if we a little bit easier to see with the lines, and so we want to model this as a trend with seasonality applied. These are the steps that we're going to follow. We're going to develop seasonal factors. We're going to adjust the original data for seasonality, and we do that by dividing by the seasonal factor. With this deseasonalized data, then apply a forecasting method. It could be any method that seems appropriate for the data. In our case, we'll apply a trend model. And then once we have this model developed, then we know that the real data has seasonality in it, so we adjust the forecast for seasonality by multiplying by the seasonal factor. And in doing this, we're going to make use of a couple of different Excel functions: an average if, an average function, and a VLOOKUP function. So let's start by developing the quarterly factors. What we want to know is the average. The quarterly factor will have in the numerator the average of what happens in quarter one divided by the overall average of all the data, and then so forth the rest of the quarters. So a way to develop this is to use the average if. So equals average if. A range and a criteria. The range is where we want to look up and match for the particular quarter that we're in. So we're going to be looking in this column, and we can make that a fixed reference. The criteria that we're going to use is what's happening here in cell I5. And then the average range is when you find the match, what do you average as a range for this numerator essentially, and that would be what we find here in the sales range. Okay, and so if I just enter that, this is given us the numerator of the seasonal factor. If I then take and divide that by the overall average of all the data, then this would be my seasonal factor. If I then copy this just down this range, you can see that in each case we're picking up on the quarterly value, but then everything else is the same. So we're looking up based on quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, and then averaging the sales corresponding to the quarter, averaging that divided by the overall average. Step 2 is to take the seasonality out, and so what we do is we divide the sales by the seasonal factor. A way of doing that would be using a VLOOKUP. So the numerator has the sales data, and we're going to divide it by VLOOKUP, and our lookup value is going to be based on the quarter. Our table array is this range here, and we're going to fix that range because we want to be able to refer to it again. Then the column index number would be in column 2 to return the value, and then I want an exact match, and then close that. Okay, and so this is deseasonalizing. This is adjusting for seasonality, the sales data, and then we just copy this down. Now we want to be able to use this to make a forecast. It's a time series trend forecast. We need to add a column here that says time from 1 to 12. And then we're going to use the equals forecast function, where we're trying to forecast the value at, say, at time 1 with our known y's, and this time the y's are going to be this deseasonalized value, and the known x's will be the time periods. And then close that. Now that's our forecast using this deseasonalized data. We just drag that down, so that's our the forecast, our trend forecast. We can might be good just to look at that, see how it's looking. That, and insert line. Okay, we can sort of see what's going on our trend line, and our sales are deseasonalized. Now what we want to do is adjust the forecast for the seasonality that we know actually exists. And we do that by taking our forecast and multiplying it by the seasonal factor. So in much the same way we did this earlier, we can put it in here, so it's equal to our forecast times the VLOOKUP, where we're looking up based on quarter, and this range, which we'll fix as a reference, comma 2 for second column, comma false, where we get the exact value. Okay, and so now if we look at our original sales and our forecast, we can see how well it works just visually, and you can see the blue is our original and the red is what we were predicting for our trend line adjusted for seasonality. That's it. Thanks. See you next time.